Okay, welcome back. Glad you're along this evening. It's 10 o'clock on the East Coast, 7 o'clock out here on the West, and even earlier than that in Hawaii. Now, we're going to talk to Michael Tsarion. He is in Ireland, and he has done research the likes of which I've never seen in my lifetime, and it is always a pleasure to talk to him. We're going to talk about a number of things this evening. And let's first of all find out if he is there and up and at him. Are you there?
Hello, Jeff. It's Michael. Yep. Nice to be on the show.
Well, welcome back. Don't know how many years it's been since you've been coming and going, but you keep piling on the research, and it's amazing what you've come up with. There's no one else in your league. And it's
Thank you. It's always nice to be on your show. It was the first ever show with you that the first interview I ever did on the Irish origins concept. So it's nice to be back to follow up on that.
Oh, great. Well, I'll remember that always. And at first I said, wait a minute, what's he talking about? But within 5 minutes, anybody with an honest, open mind would have to agree that you have some amazing data. And how many years have you been after this now?
The Irish origins studies were taking me right back to 1982.
Wow. Well, I've been on the air 17 years, 1994, so you predate that by 12 years. And that you must have been a mere lad when you started out on this.
Yeah. I had access to a few books. It really didn't pick up until 82, is because then I came to the States for the first time. I was able to get rare out-of-print books from groups like Kessinger and Health Research and so many other places that were not available in Europe, or at least you'd have to be an antiquarian in Europe. You would have had to buy them as first editions or hardbacks, which cost many hundreds, sometimes thousands of dollars, whereas in America these things were a lot more available. So it picked up very, very strongly in 82, and I assiduously studied what was out there in those days. Of course, I didn't have the theories I have now, but the study started in earnest in 79, and then picked up greatly in 82, and then just continued from there. I just couldn't put it down. You see, people think it's amazing, but it's not really if you just don't let it go. I just keep studying and keep it. It's an interest, so you just keep on going with it and don't leave it down, and eventually you're able to. You're really up to speed on a lot of the theories. And then since that period, we've had also fantastic other writers and researchers like Ralph Ellis and Mustafa Gadala and Ahmed Osman and a lot of other people who've then continued to carry on the work that was maybe done in the 19th century, which completely got forgotten because it was so powerful. The establishment didn't want to know about the L.A. Waddells or the Commons Beaumonts and the Macadaris, all these people that I dedicate my work to. But fortunately, then in the late 80s and 90s, other scholars came along to re-explore the whole question of Egypt and the whole question of the movement of the races, and how did that pyramid get there? How did the civilization, how did it actually get started, and who was the people who started it? And then we have all of the other lie mechanisms, of course, which you have to negotiate and plow through. There's a whole cult since the 1970s funded by the United Nations of the Afrocentrists who try to convince the world, and have done a pretty good job doing that, of that, it was the Africans who created the Nile civilizations. And there's no real hard evidence for that, but yet that was picked up by the media and by the Smithsonian and the National Geographic and all of these other orgs, which are highly suspect, and they push this for all they're worth, and it's not sustainable. But at the same time, you're stuck with having to then rebut it, and these latest discoveries do rebut it. Even the discoveries of Sigmund Freud at the turn of the century rebutted it. But they don't care. The establishment doesn't care what facts are. They're going to hit you with whatever media spin that turns the whole of reality upside down. And my job then started in the 90s, start focusing on this level of disinformation, and through deconstructing the disinformation, that's when I finally came up with the theories that I've published now in '07. But that was not through so much of a constructive process. It was more through a deconstructive process of plowing through the welter of lies that have been disseminated about Egypt, about Ireland, about the age of catastrophe, and about so many other things in this life.
What we commonly know and understand about Giza and Egypt and Egyptian civilization is, I hate to use the term, but it's essentially a lie. What other word would you use? It's a lie, and there are people promulgating this lie who know damn well that it's not true. But they've got money, they've got ego invested. It's a big tourism industry, and we don't want to slight the black races of Africa, but unfortunately, the DNA is not to be argued with. And in a few minutes, under Michael's name at runts.com, I'm going to be putting up a picture of King Tut. And Michael knows this picture extremely well. Many of you have seen it, I'm sure, but I'm going to put it up again just to give you an idea. They have reconstructed from the mummy and the DNA what this man, in all likelihood, looked like. He was a young man when he died. He doesn't, let me just put it this way, he's not of African heritage. It's clear he's of European ancestry, and where he came from, how he came to be there, Michael would probably be able to tell us better than anyone else, if anyone can. But it's clear that this man is Northern European. The features are quite amazing, and when you see the picture in a few minutes, keep reloading the home page. James will get the picture up there. I think you'll be shocked. Most people would think, well, we'll see another Barack Obama or something like that. No. And Obama trying to claim ancient Egyptian heritage amuses me to no end. I forget which pharaoh he claims to look exactly like, but it all gets to be out of hand.
Yeah, he was claiming to look like Amenhotep IV, who's known as Akhenaten. That's considered to be, that's Tutankhamun's father. So, that could change, but the consensus is that Akhenaten was Tutankhamun's father, and Nefertiti was the mother of Tutankhamun. There's other scholars, of course, have different takes on this, but that is the general idea until new evidence comes forth to change that. And Nefertiti is a very important character because she has been the one, in fact, of that particular dynasty, that particular family, that many scholars through the hundreds of years have suspected was of Western ancestry. So to find out now through the most up-to-date science, DNA science, that in fact her son is directly, non-negotiably of Western ancestry is a huge vindication, not only from my work, because I am probably the only scholar who has said that, because other scholars have tacitly admitted that there's some sort of connection between the East and the West.
Right.
But not a single other scholar that I know of, apart from the Commons Beaumont of the turn of the 1960s, and Conor McDowell and Anna Wilkes, the people that my books are dedicated to, other than them, and perhaps the American Ignatius Donnelly, have ever suggested that the actual kings of Sumeria, Babylon, and Syria, Assyria, and Egypt, and so on and so forth, including many of the characters mentioned in the Bible, by the way, actually came from the West. This has been stated, but all of those scholars are completely suppressed. My work is to carry on their legacy. But I must add again that the Nefertiti thing has always been a question mark, not only because of her facial features, but because her ancestry has been completely removed